Well, hello there, Tampa Bay, and welcome to the Tampa Bay Community Network Sports Talk. I'm your host, Coach Chuck White, and my guest is Lelo Prado, a great baseball player and coach through the many years, starting with the youth league all the way through college, and former retired coach at University of South Florida. He's also a championship coach for the USA team, which won the World Championship. We're going to talk about all those things, so just sit back and relax, enjoy the show, because I know there's much to be gained from this show and much to be enjoyed. Well, first of all, I'd like to say, Lelo, Coach Prado, I should say, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a great honor to be here with you.
You know, when we have guests of your caliber, and many times since this is your first time, we like to just ask you, how did you first ever get started in baseball? What was the first thing attracted you to baseball?
Well, I played Little League baseball at West Tampa Little League. That's what got me going. And I played there. I played for my dad and other great coaches there during those times. And that's what really got me going with baseball.
Well, it's always something, usually the family who gets you started, one of the siblings, sometimes the next door neighbor, somebody in the community say, come on, man, let's go and play this or play that. But it was your dad, he just, come here, boy, get out here and start playing.
I don't think we had an option. We had to play ball, but he was our Little League coach and had a lot of fun.
Man, just think, being coached by your dad. And do you have any children that you can coach?
I have 3 boys, and they all play Little League, but they're all grown up now, and none of them play college baseball, but they're all going to be college graduates, and that's what I'm most proud of.
Did you have anything to do with them playing baseball, getting them started like the coach or anything?
I did. I started them, but I wanted them to play all the sports and enjoy all of them because I was strictly baseball and a little bit of football in high school, but I wanted them to just enjoy it, and I probably drove them out of playing.
Well, you said your dad got you started in playing youth or Little League baseball. Can you tell us what team that was?
It just used to be called West Tampa Ross Laboratory back in the Pee Wee days. And we didn't have names like they do today, the major league teams, so it was just a sponsor that sponsored it.
And then from there you went into the Little League of West Tampa. Talk about that.
Crazy. We used to love going to the ballpark every night. I mean, always packed. There was a lot less to do now for kids back then than it is today. But we used to go to the ballpark every day, and West Tampa was a place to be. They used to win championships, and it was a lot of fun going to the ballpark.
Didn't have cell phones and smartphones and all these kind of high-tech instruments to be involved with. You didn't care how hot the sun or whatever, you just went out there and played and enjoyed it. So can you think of any person who coached teammates or anything back in those days?
Well, I had one coach that I always remember when my dad wasn't coaching me. I was 10 years old. His name was Manuel Cioni. And Manuel Cioni had a son that played in the big leagues, and Mitchell Cioni also played professional baseball, played high school ball with me, and he was a great influence on me, and he always worked us hard and demanded to be the best at anything you did. And he was a great man. He passed away a couple years ago, but he was some guy that I always looked up to.
You know, you say your dad got you started. You call Manuel Cioni's name. You might want to mention your dad's name because a lot of our listeners and viewers might remember. You want to give him a little credit.
Well, I do. I mean, but he was hard. He was tough. I mean,
what was his name?
Lelo Prado.
Lelo Prado.
And he didn't like losing. And
no, sir.
Back in those days, if we lost a game, we went home and he was there telling us everything we did wrong. So, but he was always fair, but he pushed us hard to be the best at anything we did. And he's a great dad.
Now, from Little League, West Tampa Little League, you played with another team, I understand.
We went to Wellswood.
Yes.
And Wellswood opened up, and we were in that district, so we moved over there, and I played my I was 10 years old when we moved over, and played there, and then played, you know, senior baseball, and then played big league baseball. And Wellswood was just starting off. It was a new park. The only thing people remembered Wellswood during those times is the girls. They would go to the Little League World Series, and all the boys would be jealous. So, but they had a great program, and but it was a lot of fun there at Wellswood Little League.
What is the highest recognition your team or you as an individual got doing your Little League performance? Did you ever get to the, you know, championships of anything or whatever?
Well, we played in a lot of championships, you know, districts and regionals. The only time in Little League baseball that I ever went to the Little League World Series is when I became a coach, and that's here in the next couple years. But I was the Little League coach at 17. Wow. And we went to the Little League World Series, and that's when I really got into coaching, because I thought I could motivate guys to play hard. And that's where I made my decision to be a coach.
I'm sure you did motivate them well. Can you tell us where the Little League World Series being played at that time?
Well, it was 15 to 18-year-olds, and they played it at Fort Lauderdale.
Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Yeah, and it was a lot of fun. It's the first time the boys had ever won from Wellswood. So it makes me proud that every time I go to Wellswood, there's a monument there with our team that went to the Little League World Series. So that's something that I'll never forget.
Wasn't that great? Well, after leaving Wellswood, I'm sure you went into high school, and I believe you went to Tampa Catholic. Is that right?
Yeah, Tampa Catholic.
Tell us about it.
Well, it was the best years of my life. I mean, you know, you're young. We had Tampa Catholic at that time was one of the best baseball programs in the country.
Yes, sir.
High school baseball. Pete Morey started it. We had a lot of great players. Then Joe Perez, and then Carl Cavanaugh, and then it's been a couple new coaches since. But Tampa Catholic baseball was, you know, everybody got jealous if I was jealous about Tampa Catholic. But we won championships, and in '79 we won one my sophomore year, and it was a lot of fun. Played with a lot of great players and guys that are still some of my best friends.
As a great player, what positions did you play?
Well, in Little League, you play them all, but
yeah.
Mostly I was a catcher, and I played a little infield. But I was a catcher. I used to love to be in the game, and I got a chance to catch some great guys. Richard Montleone, that played in the big leagues, and one of my best friends, and got to do, I love being in the action, and catching was the best position for that.
What's the responsibility of a catcher?
You get beat up a lot, I'll tell you that. I mean, but it's mostly taking control of the game. And that's one of the reasons I think I wanted to be a coach. You look around Major League Baseball, a lot of guys that are managers were catchers, just because you have full control of the ball game. And I love calling the signals. If a kid struck out, I thought I struck him out. And
right.
You take pride in that. That's right. So just being in control of the game is what made me attractive to being a catcher.
Well, as I grew up, one of the great catchers I know, however, we played just about every position too. I know when we got to college, Coach Billy Reed, he was a great catcher. He used to be running around on his knees and jumping, and when the infielder gets ready to throw a ball to first, he would run down to first and back it up and back up third base and all. So I used to talk with him because I did a little bit of catching earlier, but it wasn't much like Billy Reed. I was mostly ended up being a pitcher. So catchers is the one who called the signal and the pitcher adhered to it. Suppose the pitcher didn't want to throw what you call. You run out to the mound and punch him or what?
Well, depending how big he was. If it was Richard Montleone that was 6'3", I'd let him throw whatever he wanted. Okay. And I got the luxury of catching him and Lance McCullers. Both of them pitched in the big leagues, and those guys had all the confidence in the world in me. Whatever I put down, most of the time they threw. But a young kid, I wouldn't let them shake me off. There's no way they were going to shake me off. But we always had great pitching, and I was lucky to be a catcher on that staff.
You know, they've been talking about one of the controversial rulings about a catcher blocking the plate with and without the ball or something. Can you talk about that?
I just don't like it. I mean, I was raised where the catcher, if he had the ball, you run him over.
Yeah.
And just because the injury happened to Posey, they changed the whole rule. And now you're seeing instant replay all the time on plays at the plate, and that shouldn't happen. I mean, if the catcher's not blocking the plate, but, you know, he's okay. But now you got to have the ball before you could go in and block it. And the catchers they're not taught to do that. They're taught to take away the plate as the ball's coming.
Yeah.
And it's been a mess for Major League Baseball, and I think it's something that I think eventually will move back the other way.
Didn't Pete Rose have some kind of...
He ran over a catcher at the All-Star game.
And ran through him.
Right through him. I mean, you see it always on highlight plays, but now that was a little bit different. I mean, he was going after the catcher at an All-Star game. But I just think, you know, when there's a play at the plate, you know, you got to block it, and that's your job to make sure he doesn't
get there. You don't want him to get in there.
That's right. And but they've changed the rules so much now that you know, it's crazy.
Well, let's continue with your high school playing at Tampa Catholic. You said you went as far as, how far did you go, and what kind of recognition did your teams get, other than being a great team? It was always year in, year out, you knew Tampa Catholic played baseball.
Well, of course, we won a state title my sophomore year, but, you know, just the players we played with, you know, the Mitch Sionis, the Richard Montleone, Lance McCullers, George Martinez. I mean, we had so many good, Donnie Scott that played in the big leagues, just so many good players. And, you know, you'd sit out there, even when you were on the bench, you were looking out there and you were looking at guys that had a shot to play in the big league. So a lot of those guys moved on. A lot of those guys were high draft picks, and it was a lot of fun to be part of Tampa Catholic baseball.
After you left high school, Tampa Catholic, you went into JUCO, what's junior college, community college now, baseball. And I think it was at Hillsborough Community College where I first met you.
That's right.
Talk about that.
Well, it was Kenny Dominguez coached us for a little while at Tampa Catholic, and then he went over to Hillsborough Community College because Lou Garcia had retired. And I went over there with Kenny Dominguez for 2 years. We didn't win any championships, but boy, did we have talent on those teams. But it was a lot of fun. It was a right fit for me at that time to go there, and played with a lot of friends that to this day are still my best friends. So it was a lot of fun for 2 years at Hillsborough Community College.
What do you think about junior college baseball or sports rather than going to four-year school?
It's good for some kids, especially with the education. You know, I think it's a great route if you can't afford a four-year school, or you're not ready to go into a four-year school. I think it's a great way. When I was coaching at South Florida or at Louisville or at UT, if I didn't think a kid was ready for four-year school, I would send him to a junior college. So it was, it's good fit for a lot of kids. A lot of kids go there now in baseball just to go there to get drafted and move on. But we try to hide some kids over there. We send them over there. Hopefully they won't get drafted and we get them back at the four-year school. But I think junior college baseball, especially in this state, it's really good. And they got some great coaches, and they do a great job. But if you can go to a four-year school, there's so much fun going to university if you're ready for it. If you're not ready, you could get lost out there.
I think the junior college has its purpose because I was a junior college coach, and I was the first coach ever to Hillsborough Community College, and I coached basketball. I ordered the baseball equipment because I was about to be a baseball coach also, and that's when we hired Lou Garcia. You say Kenny Dominguez left Tampa Catholic as your high school coach. Then you came over to Hillsborough Community College, and Kenny Dominguez was your coach then. So after you left Hillsborough Community College, you went to where?
University of Tampa.
Who's your coach there?
Kenny Dominguez right there.
Well, Kenny Dominguez just followed you all. You carried him everywhere, and he carried you. So that was a great combination.
Yeah.
I think he was a great guy and a great coach.
Yes,
he was. A great person, yeah.
Yes, he was. He was a good coach, and he went there and really got the University of Tampa program going. They had never gone to the College World Series, and when he got there, he was able to get kids like the Langiotti brothers, Tino and Rini Martinez came on board, Barry Robinson came on board, and before you knew it, we were beating Florida Southern to go to the Division II World Series. So he got that program going, and then I took over after he left.
Yeah. So he trained you well, taking you from high school to junior college and to four-year school. So you stayed with the University of Tampa baseball program for how long?
I stayed there, I think it was 6 or 7 years, and we won 2 national championships while I was there, and in 92 and 93. 92 was the first one that the University of Tampa had ever won. So I'm very proud of what we did there, and then I moved on from there.
Listen, you said you won 2 national championships?
Yes, sir.
92 and 93. Tino Martinez, he wasn't there. He was gone.
He was gone already.
Yeah. Well, who were some of the top players that you like to remember?
Well, I mean, I got to start off with, Joey Urso, the kid that's coaching at the University of Tampa now. He's won 3 national championships since he's been there. Terry Rupp, kids like that. The Kelly, Dean Kelly, Rod Kelly, Kevin Langiotti, I had Mike Vargo, Eric Mirza, and all these guys are still friends of mine, and Jeff Gordon. I mean, I could go down and down. We've had some great players there, and University of Tampa is almost like the old Tampa Catholic days. They got a great program there. They keep winning, and the biggest thing that I'm proud of the University of Tampa is Terry Rupp replaced me. He won a national championship, played for me. Joey Urso replaced him, played for me, and won a national championship. So we've kept the tradition there, and it's stronger than ever, and I think it's going to continue to be strong as long as Joey Urso's there.
I had the opportunity to interview him on this same program that we're on now, and he told us all about going to Cuba and carrying his baseball team there. And where, as a coach, did you ever carry your baseball team to any foreign country, or how far did you ever get a chance to carry your team?
Not my team.
Yeah.
The only thing I did ever was take my team to Hawaii one time, and
great.
When I was at Louisville, we went to Hawaii for a week, and that was special. But with my background, with everything that's happened in Cuba, with my family coming over, I never have ever even thought about going to Cuba, because that's not really a popular thing around my household, all the things that happened to my family, and hopefully one day it'll be free, and I'll be able to go back and see where I was born, because I was born there.
You were.
And I came when I was 3 months old, but I'm not going back till it all goes down.
I can understand that. So you coached at South Florida, just retired. You had some great experiences there. What are some of the things you like to remember most while being a coach at University of South Florida?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing I did when I arrived at South Florida, I replaced Eddie Cartieri, which was one of the best coaches around the country. He was there 21 years. He had some great players there, the Chris Heinz and people like that, Ross Glode, that played there. The biggest thing I did is try to get the Tampa community behind the program. And I recruited a lot of local kids, just like Eddie had done in the past. But I tried to get more of the Tampa flavor of this community into South Florida, and I think we did that. And the biggest thing that I'm proud of, I left there, we built a brand new stadium that's beautiful, and it's one of the best stadiums in the country.
You couldn't ask for a bigger or better thing to be done than what you did at South Florida, and you got the community involved. So did you ever have any camps or anything where high school players would come out or anything of that nature?
Yeah, we did. I mean, that's the one thing that I tried to do is make sure that every high school kid got a chance to play there at the new stadium. So we would put on tournaments in the fall so the kids could come. And I had great support from all the coaches, the local guys, the Pop Cuestas, the Macalusos, the Bermudas, and Billy Reed and all those guys. They were so supportive my whole career. And, you know, I look back now, and there's some of the guys that I used to look up to when I was going to high school games, you know, seeing those guys coaching. But I'm very proud of what we did. I wish we would have won a championship for South Florida, but we didn't. But we left a beautiful stadium, and this year's team is going to be a very good baseball team.
It's not what you won, it's how you played. And you played the game well as a coach, and you did a great job getting kids there. Macaluso, was he at King?
Yes, sir.
And Jefferson coach?
Pop
Cuesta, he just retired.
Yes, he did.
He was one of the dean of the coaches, wasn't he? One of the older ones around.
I see him at the coffee shop every morning.
Oh,
and,
every morning.
Him and my dad sit there and criticize everything I did out on the baseball field. So I try to stay away sometimes after a game because my dad is quick to blame that we lost the game because of me. But just great people. I mean, he was one of the best high school coaches around, and those guys, you don't see them stay in the business that long anymore.
One thing about Pop Cuesta, he had his whole family involved. He manicured that football field with his family. He had one of the family members doing this, some family members doing that. And I think one of his top players at that time was, boy played first base.
Fred McGriff.
Fred McGriff. And he almost made that 500 home runs. But what do you think of Fred as a baseball player?
Well, we both came out of high school together. We both had signed to go to junior college ball at HCC together, but he signed with the Yankees. But I hope he gets in the Hall because I think he deserves to be in there. He's one of those guys that played the game clean. You never heard bad things about Fred McGriff. You still don't. And just one of those guys that, you know, he's got 490 or 488 home runs. Back in those days, they were juicing it up, and you know, he stayed away from all that. So he represented Tampa and this community the right way, and I hope he gets in the Hall of Fame one day.
I certainly hope so too. What are the guys name at Plant? They call him the Chicken Man, so he used to eat chicken before.
Oh, Wade Boggs.
Wade Boggs, he made the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he's another one. He did it the right way by doing it the right way, and that's the one thing this community can be very proud of. You're talking about those guys. You're talking about Tino Martinez. You're talking about Luis Gonzalez. They all did it the right way, playing hard, working hard. And the best thing about all them people, they're great. All them players is that they're great people. No matter where you see them, they say hello when they're and they're always helping the community out.
That's what I like about sports. It doesn't matter what race you are. The only race I know of sports is maybe from race in baseball, from one base to the other. The only color I can think in sports is the uniform.
Yeah.
So, you know, don't care if you played against a person in your early years. Later, when you retire, get out, you always seem to be friends or like brothers or fraternity. You still remember that's a sportsman there. He played sports, and that means something to each sports person. What about our professional baseball team here, Tampa Bay Rays?
I think they got great pitching, and that's the reason they've made some great runs. I mean, they've had some injuries, but I think the Rays organization has done everything they can trying to get people there, and I think they're a team that they're always going to be good because they've got pitching. If they could score some runs, they're going to be all right. So they made some trades. They got more pitching. They got rid of Price, but the kid they brought in has done a great job for them. So I think they'll be fine. They've got a good organization, and I just hope they stay in this area and they don't get up and leave on us.
They got a tricky Lou type of manager, Joe, man. He goes, you know, if a guy gets so many hits tonight, you think he's starting the next day and he's on the bench, but he always wins.
He's a winner. I mean, I've become pretty good friends with him, and the thing I like about Joe is that no matter where he's at, if I email him or something, he always emails back, and he's wherever we see him, he's always he's big in this community. He's doing a lot of things here in this community. I think he's going to continue to win with the Rays.
What is it you want to be said about you when you finish? What is it can you tell little kids? You got about a minute to do that.
Well, I really believe that you do it the right way. I mean, I've seen too many good players that didn't do it the right way or tried to go the quick route with steroids and things like that. Do it the right way. Work hard every day. Go to class. Do the right things at home. Respect your parents, and always keep God first, and it's very important. And I think you're going to have a chance to be very successful.
Oh, it's been so nice having you here on the show. We certainly enjoyed having you. And we hope your listeners and viewers have enjoyed the show as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. So be with us again on our next show right here on the Tampa Bay Community Network Sports Talk.